Hello, and welcome to It's a Fandom Thing. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and each week I'm joined by a panel of guests to discuss all things fandom and pop culture, primarily from a female perspective. You'll find everything from fanfic, to cosplay, to Schitt's Creek, to Supernatural, and everything in between. So put on your favorite piece of fandom merch, set aside that fanfic that you're writing about your OTP, and sit back and enjoy this week's episode. Hello, and welcome to It's a Fandom Thing. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and on this episode, we are continuing our celebration of Horror Month with a look at the 1985 vampire classic, Fright Night. And joining me to take a bite out of this one and see, I was trying to come up with something clever with sucking blood, and it just didn't work. This is why I need to write these down ahead of time and not come up with them on the spot. But anyway, joining me for this episode is, first up, my producer, Erin A. Hello, Erin A.
Hi, I'm very excited.
I'm excited to have you here. You haven't been here forever. Well, I mean, our pop culture episode, but still, you haven't been on forever.
Yeah, it's been a very long time.
Yeah. And then also joining me is one of my co-hosts from It's a Dean Thing, Paula. Hey, Paula.
Hey.
Thank you so much for being here as well. And Paula will be back next week when we talk about Tremors. So what we're first, well, no, wait, I got to give you the description from IMDb. And yes, I am giving trigger warnings, which seems kind of weird for this movie, but I just decided I'd throw in a couple. I mean, we're going to be spoiling this movie. This movie's turning 40 years old, so it's
that hurts.
I know. It's on you if you haven't seen it.
Right. You've had some time.
You've had a few years to catch this one. So.
You've had 4 decades, okay? Decades.
Yes. And it is currently, there's actually theaters that are playing this movie right now. I know Alamo here is playing it. It's on Tubi. It's, you can rent it from the library, all that kind of stuff. But Fright Night, and this is from IMDb, remember, so these are always whatever they are. Fright Night sees a teenager believing that the newcomer in his neighborhood is a vampire. He turns to an actor in a television-hosted horror movie show for help to deal with the undead. It was written and directed by Tom Holland, and it stars William Ragsdale as Charlie Brewster, Chris Sarandon as Jerry Dandridge, Amanda Bierce as Amy Pearson, Roddy McDowall as Peter Vincent, and Stephen Jeffries as Evil Ed. So what I first want to know, Erin A., because I have no idea how either of you really feel about this movie, I don't think, so this will be really interesting. So Erin A., on a scale of 1 to 5 cloves of garlic, you got to have the garlic to ward off the vampires, although they don't really use that much in this movie. But what do you give Fright Night?
I'm going to give it 4 cloves of garlic. I'm surprised. I've surprised myself by this because I've never seen this movie until last week.
Oh, wow.
And I know. I didn't want to tell you that because you're like, what's wrong with you? Why are you on this episode? But I don't know what came over me when I signed up for it, but I'm like, yeah, that seems like a pretty cute, 80s movie, because some 80s movies are just so bad. So bad, and I don't know why I had a good feeling about this, but I really enjoyed this one. I've never seen this before. This was completely new to me. My husband was very disappointed, probably rethinking our whole entire marriage, but I just, he comes with all these insane movies of, you haven't seen that? I'm like, why would I have seen that? First of all, I was 3 years old when this movie came out, so obviously I didn't see it when it was new. And then he shows me all of these movies that were sounds so old-fashioned. I'm from the 1900s, okay? But this was a boy movie when we were kids, right? There's no reason that a 12-year-old girl like me playing with my Barbies would have watched Fright Night. The child that I was would not have watched this movie.
That's not the way I was.
Right? No. The child, no. we stumbled upon, I watched Leprechaun when I was little, like, because it was like on TV, and I let my sister watch it, and she had nightmares because I was babysitting. I was like, fine, watch whatever you want, and like I got in trouble. But this was not the kind of movies that I watched like when I was a kid, like in the 80s or 90s even. So like that's why I've never seen this, but I really liked it. I thought it was fun. There was some parts that were like extra 80s cheesy, but overall, I think it kind of holds up.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm going to get to that comment about this being a boy movie.
I know.
Like, no.
I know.
God, no.
But like,
No.
I was over here like, see, I'm going to get myself kicked off of this in like the first 5 minutes. It's going to be a record, but I'm over here like watching Newsies and learning every like inch of the choreography to Newsies. I'm not watching Fright Night whenever I'm a kid. I'm sorry.
Meanwhile, I had never seen Newsies until we covered it for Christian fucking Bale month, and both Carla and I were like, we both hated it, and that's one of our most highest.
I know. I love it. That's the kind of kid I was. So I admire our friendship.
So, Paula, this wasn't your first time watching this, right? Or was it?
Okay, no, it's not. However, because it's 40 years old, I think the last time I saw it, I was like 10 or 12 years old. So I have memories of watching it, but I don't remember the movie, if that makes sense at all.
It does.
Like we had it on VHS. I think we might have actually had it on Betamax.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes. Look, we still have our Betamax machine in my dad's basement, along with the record player that still has 8-track.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
I don't know if either still work, because I had possession of the Betamax for quite a while. That's a whole nother story. Anyway.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Because I would use it. This was when MTV had music videos. I would watch MTV for my best friend and I's, our favorite bands, and I would record them on the VHS, and then I would bring the Betamax out, and then I would like take out the commercials and make her a copy. Yeah. I was real tech savvy.
That
back
is
in
real,
the day.
like, true friendship. I love that.
Right?
Amazing.
Oh, anyway, yeah. So I know I've seen the movie, but I did not remember hardly any of. Like, I remembered Roddy McDowell.
Yeah, he's
being that's all I really remembered. I remembered nothing of this movie, so I might as well have not seen it going into this. I'm gonna give it a 3.5 cloves of garlic. Not quite 4, not 3. And I think that's because, like, if I remembered this movie growing up, I think I would have rated it higher. But because I don't have any memories of it, so I'm kind of looking at it with fresh eyes. I'm like, yeah, okay, there's some problematic stuff, there's some cheesy stuff, there's some stuff that I'm just kind of like, and we'll get into this later. There's some kind of stuff I'm like a little iffy on, so I'm gonna give it a solid 3.5.
I mean, yeah, there are definitely things, and I forgot to give the trigger warnings that I'll give here in just a minute after I give my rating. But I give this a solid 4.5 cloves of garlic. I think this is one of the best vampire movies ever made, frankly. And I loved this movie growing up, and I loved its sequel, Fright Night Part 2. I have not watched Fright Night Part 2 since I was a kid, so I have no idea if I would still like it. I actually had the poster for Fright Night Part 2 was above my bed, and it's basically just like, because that's the main vampire in that one is a woman. And Charlie's back in that one, and it was basically just like a mouth white, and then it was just a mouth, red lips, and then the vampire fangs. It's such a great poster. And I mean, I'm sure the movie's not that great. I loved it when I was younger, but I'm sure the sequel's not very great. But, I haven't watched this movie in quite a few years, and I was wondering if it was going to hold up because, yes, some of the makeup effects are a little cheesy, everything like that, but it's 80s and, But this movie was so much fun. This movie is so funny. That's the other part that I kind of had forgotten is how funny it is. And I think everybody in it does a really good job. And I really like some of the takes on the vampire lore, which we'll get to. And I like a lot of the stuff that Chris Sarandon does in this movie, and we'll get to that. And so overall, yeah, I mean, there are some problematic things. Like Charlie is kind of a jerk, and we'll get to that. But overall, I just think it's just so much fun. And I think this would be a really good intro movie into the world of vampires. I think it really isn't like too, I mean, well, I take that back because there's a lot of really sexual things in this movie that I'd kind of forgotten about. I had forgotten about some of like the dance
Really
floor
creepy.
scene. I was like, holy crap, I forgot how.
Well, I feel like that's things that like we probably didn't like in the 80s.
It's
If
true.
you were like 10, you wouldn't have noticed that comedy. You probably didn't even notice that part like when you were a little kid.
That's true.
Yeah, so
That's true.
No, there is some very creepy parts.
Yeah. But I really, really enjoy this movie a lot. And I think it's because I think everybody was having fun making this movie. People who were in this movie talk very fondly of it. And you can tell. And I think that helps enhance it as well. And I think it also is good that the writer directed this so that he had control of the script. So I liked that fact too. Okay, well, let me just give a couple of quick trigger warnings because I think they come up mainly with Charlie and then Jerry as well. But there are some elements of like sexual coercion, which comes with vampires, but also with Charlie. And a lot of like really not respecting your girlfriend or respecting the word no. So I think that's why I wanted to put trigger warnings on there because when I was watching, I was like, holy crap, I forgot. So those are like the biggest ones. This is a vampire movie, so there's going to be death and murder and all that. But yeah. So Erin A, we're going to first talk about the characters of Charlie and Jerry, since Charlie is our main protagonist and Jerry, of course, is our main antagonist. So first, I want to know, what are your thoughts on Charlie overall as a hero and the character?
I like Charlie, like, other than, like, having some questionable morals at the beginning of the movie. Just like, man, right there in, like, the first, like, 3 minutes, too.
I know.
Like, come on, man. And first of all, Charlie is, like, kind of a dork, and this girl seems way out of his league, right? Like, you got no business treating this super sweet girl like that. Like, she can do way better than you. I don't know why she is, like, hanging around with these two dorks, but, like, yeah, Charlie needs to be a little bit better person. Like, use your brain a little bit, sir. But I think overall, minus the couple of problematic, it's so gross. But I think he like it means well. He is sweet. I think he does really love his girlfriend, and even though he's kind of mean to her sometimes, he saves her, which is cute. Gosh, now I'm like all off track on like what a horrible person Charlie is. Also a little creepy whenever he's spying on the neighbors too.
Yeah.
Like, and just like that whole shot of him sitting in the chair, like, oh, why is this so unsettling? But I think he means well, and he's like a sweet little kid that like believes this guy on TV is really gonna help him kill vampires. And how he like dresses up to go over to the TV station in his like sport coat with the patches on the elbows. It's so 80s. I love it so much. And just like how sweet and naive he is sometimes. And it is really cute. And he kind of, I think, grows up really fast over the course of this, 3 days, where he's like just trying to get some from his girlfriend and then he's like murdering vampires. But yeah, I think, see, now I need to know. You said Charlie's in Fright Night too. I didn't even know this existed. Now I need to go watch this and see if he grows up, if he like becomes a better hero. I don't know.
He's in college in Fright Night too.
Of course. Okay. That's my other issue with this movie. My other things that like I find really weird about this movie is how old these people are.
Well,
they're playing like 16-year-olds, which is such an 80s movie thing to do. And I'm like, oh, these people look so old. And I know for some reason, I don't know if just like our generation thinks that we look younger, but people in the 80s who say they're this age look way older than that all the time.
That's true.
But he was 24 when they made this, and his girlfriend was like 27 or something, which is wild that you would think they should play 16-year-olds. But so that was a part that was just like really kind of strange to me. But overall, I like Charlie. I think he's sweet, and maybe she can help him be a better person.
Yeah, you'll have to go watch the sequel.
Now I gotta go find it.
It's on Tubi. I believe it's on
shout out
Tubi.
to Tubi.
Yeah.
I love Tubi.
I
Tubi's
believe it's on Tubi.
amazing.
Maybe I'm wrong because I know the remake is on Tubi, but
The remake is there, the original is there, and maybe I'm gonna have to go look.
I don't know.
Tubi's got some good stuff, and now Tubi is pretty much exclusively recommending 80s horror movies to me.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm pretty sure like the original Halloween is on there.
Yeah.
That's in my queue. Like I put a whole bunch of random stuff in my queue last night. So I was like, sure. So I've got a real weird Tubi recommendation algorithm now.
It's funny.
Like classic Doctor Who, Winona Earp, and then 80s horror. Thanks, Tubi.
So Paula, what are your thoughts on Charlie?
So Charlie's like he is a typical 80s movie teenage boy.
Yeah.
Who all he thinks about is sex. And
making love. They call it making love, which is also really uncomfortable.
Yeah. And can I just say, look, the opening scene of this movie, I'm watching it on my computer with headphones on. And those kissing sounds.
I know.
Oh my, I'm just like, oh, please make this stop.
So bad.
What is that? It was bad. It was so bad. Anyway.
That's true.
It was awful. I'm glad it wasn't just me. Anyway, no, he really is. He is a sex crazed teenage boy in the 80s. That's a very typical portrayal in any 80s movies. Anyway, and he was really naive. Like the thought that this TV personality is actually a vampire hunter. Like who thinks that? Like little kids think that, not teenage boys. So that was kind of endearing, but I didn't like him at first because of that whole like pressuring the girlfriend, and he's kind of a jerk. But as this goes along, he realizes that people are dying next door, and he's trying to get help, and nobody's listening to him. And I felt so bad for him because he's trying to do the right thing, and nobody will take him seriously. And he really did kind of grow up towards the end there where, he's like, okay, we got to kill this vampire, and they kill these vampires. And he just, like at the beginning, didn't even really seem to care about Amy. So yeah. I'm glad to see that, he did. And he's like, we got to save her and, and all that. And they kind of reconciled at the end there. So yeah, I guess my thoughts on Charlie are a little complicated.
Charlie's a complicated guy.
Yeah.
Charlie is complicated. He's got layers.
He's so layered. He's so deep, man. Yeah, I had forgotten like what a kind of jerk he is because in the beginning, because Amy keeps saying, no, stop. And he literally gets pissed at her. And then when she's like, okay, yes, I'm ready to have sex. And she like is vulnerable, her shirt's off and everything like that. And I think Amanda does a really good job with that. And she's all vulnerable. And then he's distracted because he sees the coffin. And she's just like, dude, you were like so pissed at me and now I'm ready. And now you're treating me like shit and just ignoring me. And, it's not an excuse, but that's kind of typical teenage boy behavior in a way. That part, I'm not saying it's typical for teenage boys to not accept no, but the part of like just kind of like ignoring the vulnerability of your girlfriend is kind of, but he's still kind of a jerk in the beginning. I do think that changes because of him being put in peril and witnessing that, but he does some creepy things like watching his neighbor with another woman when the woman's taking her shirt off and leering. That's gross. That's just disgusting. But then he does stuff like, being determined that he is going to take care of Jerry. Like he kind of is like fearless in a way too. He's just like, nope, I'm going to keep going after him, even though he knows that could lead to his death. He still is pretty fearless when it comes to that. And he kind of never gives up. He kind of has that, that mentality that you have when you're younger where like you might be hopeful that people will change and people will listen to you. And I know the writer and director, he was like wanting to combine the boy who cried wolf with a vampire story, and that was kind of what he set out to do. And that's what you kind of get here. But I love, like, there's a line in here. His mom is so Gen X mom. It's unbelievable to me. She's just totally clueless. And she's just like, they come downstairs and he just had his girlfriend up there in the bedroom. And she's like, hey, lovers quarrel or whatever she says.
Like, she didn't hear, like she didn't hear screaming.
I know. But I love when he says, Mom, I don't need hot cocoa. I didn't have a nightmare. It's so like, it's like, that's when you really realize, even though the actor, of course, is old, but you realize this is still a kid when he's talking about that, even though he's dealing with very adult issues. So in a way, it's also, I think, a metaphor in a way of growing up too. And, you know, realizing like you can't always count on adults and stuff. So yeah, he's a complicated one. He's complicated. And I'll have to rewatch Fright Night Part 2 because I don't know if he actually, you know, grows up. So I'll have to, you know, rewatch that one and see. But let's move on to Jerry, which the name Jerry is such a great, the
Jerry
worst
the
name
vampire.
For a vampire.
You're immortal. You can pick a new name.
I know. So Jerry, played, of course, by Chris Sarandon, who, if you don't know, that was Susan Sarandon's first husband, and she kept the last name. So, Erin, what are your thoughts on Jerry as a vampire and as the villain?
I like Jerry. I wish, like, I knew more of his backstory. How long has Jerry been a vampire? Where did he pick up his roommate? It's roommate. Yeah, that's what we're going to go with.
Yeah. I know, the homoeroticism in this movie.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was great. Like, yeah, how did these two meet? Like, I have so many questions about Jerry and so many questions about Billy too, honestly, of these two. I like Jerry a lot. I like how, like, he doesn't take any of this seriously and how, like, he's just toying with them. Like, well, this could be entertaining for a couple days before I kill them. He's sarcastic and he's like, yeah, sure, I'll drink your fake holy water. Why not? Like, oh, but not today. Maybe tomorrow. Come over tomorrow. I'm very busy. Like, he just finds the whole thing amusing, which I love. Like, he must be so bored. That, like, oh, I gotta find a new town, new women to murder. Like, these kids seem entertaining for a couple days. So I think he's fun. I got a lot of questions. Like, so many questions that were not answered. Like, where did that picture come from? Like, they barely talked on why this picture looked like Amy. I assume some ancestor or something. Did he move there on purpose to find her? Why is he being so creepy with the child? Like, who knows how old? I assume he's old because that picture was old and he said he knew her. I don't know. Like, just a lot of questions. I feel like Jerry needed his own sequel, origin story, but I liked him. He had very interesting powers. I like the giant bat that he turned into. That was fun. Oh man, the 80s. But I like him, like, top tier vampire. He's not taking himself too seriously. He wears turtlenecks. Like, he's great. He's just like all American dude who's also drinking women's blood. I don't know why I find him and Billy so entertaining, but I understand why, because it's an 80s movie, but still, like, why and I have a lot of questions. Like, can you guys tell me, because you have seen this multiple times, of, like, is Billy a vampire? Why did he die like that? I've got so many questions that cannot be addressed on this podcast. I don't know.
I don't know if that's ever really, like, revealed, because
he, like, melted and turned into green slime.
Yeah, and I think, if I'm remembering correctly from even watching this last night, that isn't there's like a scene where there's daylight, there's sunlight and stuff, so he's not a vampire.
He's like to-go person, yeah.
Yeah, he's probably just like, I know in some vampire lore, like, people have, like, companions or the people that are, like, protecting the vampires. And I think that's what but there's definitely some homoeroticism going on there. And there is with Charlie and Jerry too, frankly.
Oh, for sure.
So,
So flirty.
I mean, that's the way all vampire, movies are. And in the 80s, of course, they couldn't be like, all upfront about that. Although they did in The Hunger, but still they couldn't be like, oh yeah, these two, they're lovers. Because to me, it's so obvious.
It's very obvious. Like, was it not obvious in the 80s? I wish I could get in a time machine and be like, did nobody notice that? They thought they were like, did they really pull one over on everybody in the 80s? Or were people just like, yeah, that's happening?
I would guess, because I was a kid then and but I would guess like adults and people watching it probably would pick up on it. Because that's kind of how you had to do things in movies back then. And so I would assume that was probably picked up on. I know this is in some of the lists of like queer horror films. So I'm assuming that it has been for decades, since it's 40 years old. So, and I should have looked to see, there's probably lots of analysis out there about that. But yeah, because that's definitely his lover.
For sure. Oh, I bet there's a lot of fanfic about that.
Yeah. Well, and Jerry is whistling, like Strangers in the Night when he's going up there to get Charlie. That is like...
Oh, I just remembered that. Yeah.
That's like a total, and I think that was something that Chris Sarandon chose to do, but still, it's very, very, very much there, and that's kind of the way I think vampire lore goes anyway, but it's, really pushed hard in this one. So, Paula, your thoughts on Jerry?
Awesome.
Gerald the vampire.
The most dorky name for a vampire ever. Jerry. Dandridge. Oh, no. He's just so nonchalant about everything. Like, he's just walking around, eating an apple. Not taking anything seriously, taunting everybody. And like one of my favorite scenes is when they're in the nightclub and he's just walking across and she's watching him, and then he walks back across the screen and he does this like 3 or 4 times, and it's just this slow, nonchalant, I see you, I know you see me. It's like, it's just so like, I don't know. It's not funny, but it's funny, and it cracks me up. I love that scene. He's just nonchalantly just moving across and getting closer. Oh no, he just, yeah, he's having a good time. Because I think you're right, Erin. Like, he's bored, and he's gonna have some fun before he kills all these people. A little creepy with the teenagers. Not gonna lie, there's a lot of creep factor there. Like Jerry and Amy, that just, yes, gross. But yeah, and the confidence, like he's just like so confident. Like, you're not gonna kill me. Like, you're gonna try, and I'm gonna enjoy the effort that you put into it. But you're not gonna kill me.
Yeah, he's so much fun to watch. I think Chris Sarandon does such a great job in this role because he's having so much fun. And with the apple scene, I want to say that was Chris Sarandon who came up with that. And he wanted to do that because he figured his character was like the bat version of him was like a fruit bat. So then he came up with the apple,
wondered.
Which is so great.
I love it. Genius.
Because it is like you watch and he like is always eating an apple. He's like constantly has an apple. And he is having so much fun toying with Charlie and playing with his emotions. And like when his mom invited Jerry in and he's sitting there and he's drinking a Bloody Mary. And that is just like the perfect touch too. And the way he's just that whole scene, he does it so well. Because, Charlie knows about him and he knows Charlie knows about him, but he's like, I'm just going to toy with you and I'm just going to just say these words. Like, I'm just going to come in here whenever I want to. As long as it's okay with your mom, but I'm just going to come in here whenever I want to. That mom offered her son Valium for him. Oh. So Gen X, but anyway. But yeah, I think he's a great vampire. And I think probably my guess is with the name is that he probably came up with it because it's a very mundane, bland name. And since he's always probably moving to different suburbs and stuff in the 80s timeline, he probably just wanted to blend in. And he's like, well, Jerry is like the most mundane, vanilla name you could choose for a vampire. And I know in the remake, that's actually commented on. They're like, Jerry, what a terrible name for a vampire. Because it is, but it works in this, I think. And I love the way he's dressed. I love his red scarf. I think that is really a nice touch too. And he does yes, it's creepy, and I'm not excusing it, but it is a vampire movie. So even though it's creepy that he's like, basically like, his hands going up her leg, he's grabbing her ass on the dance floor. He has sex with her basically later. Even though it's really creepy because, even though the actress is, in her mid to late 20s, still in the story, she's in high school. He's like, however, hundreds of years old he is. And so it is creepy, but it does fit in with the vampire thing. And I mean, come on. I loved Buffy, but when you think about it, it's really flippin' creepy. So I think it's the same kind of thing. It's the same kind of moving into that lore. Not saying it's great or wonderful, and it was a little bit uneasy watching that dance club scene. But I think he does such a good job in that. And it's supposed to be creepy because he's creepy and he's a villain and he's a vampire. And even though the vampires are usually the most enjoyable part of a vampire movie, he's still the villain. But I thought he did a fantastic job. I think he is a great vampire. And after watching it, and I didn't really rewatch this when we did our special Patreon episode last year talking about our favorite vampires. And I actually, after watching this, I'm like, well, I would have moved this character up because he's so good. And while I love what my future husband does with this character, it's very different than this version. And I just think he's having so much fun with it. And that's what makes him such a great vampire. And yeah, the adding the apples is such a great actor touch. See, you would not get that with an AI thing, okay?
Nope. Sure wouldn't.
And the Bloody Mary. I just love that too. Okay, so just what are your thoughts then on their rivalry, Charlie and Jerry?
I think I like it. Like we talked about, like Jerry's just playing with them to entertain himself, and poor Charlie's taking it all so very seriously. And I love that he underestimated like these three kids and this weird guy from TV. That he was like, they don't know what they're doing. Like, this is going to be hilarious. And then joke's on you that like even kind of pretty far, like close to the end, he still wasn't really thinking that they were going to get the best of him. So I think that was great about how, Charlie's the underdog for sure. And then he saves everybody. He kills the creepy vampire. He kills the creepy vampire's manservant. And like everyone, I assume, lives happily ever after. They finally get their sexy bedtime at the end of the movie. So like everyone seems happy. Like I'm happy for them, but I love that he didn't take any of this seriously, and then like the kids got the best of him in the end.
No, I agree with everything, Erin A, that you've said, and I like because this was so very 80s movies when you have kids involved, because you have the adult villain and the kids are the heroes, and the adult always underestimates the kids, and the kids always get the best of them. My Gen X heart loves that dynamic. So I don't really have really much more to add than that. So I love that. I love that dynamic. It's always a fun one.
Yeah. Yeah, because he does underestimate him. And I think he also thinks Charlie will give up eventually and just be like, well, this isn't worth it, especially when he gets Amy. And I think he really believes that, that'll be just the end and he'll just give up. And But I think there is a part of Jerry that I always wondered, like, maybe wants to turn Charlie. I always kind of wondered that part. But because I think he's having so much fun toying with him that he almost doesn't want to kill him right away, even though he did initially, until I think it was when Charlie stabbed him with the pencil in the hand. And I think Jerry was like, oh, wait, you are actually a bigger foe than I thought you would be. So even though I am not gonna, you're not gonna survive, of course, I'm gonna get you. But because, you have a little bit of fight in you, I am gonna go ahead and have some fun with you. And I think that's what kind of happened. And I really like that about their rivalry and their relationship. And it still cracks me up that he's whistling Strangers in the Night when he's coming up there. It's like, oh my gosh. So much there. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Mr. Vincent and Amy. So we'll be right back.
When did making plans get this complicated? It's time to streamline with WhatsApp, the secure messaging app that brings the whole group together. Use polls to settle dinner plans. Send event invites and pin messages so no one forgets Mom's 60th. And never miss a meme or milestone. All protected with end-to-end encryption. It's time for WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone. Learn more at whatsapp.com.
The Great Pop Culture Debate podcast is back for a new season this fall, bringing you another dozen episodes filled with hot takes and low stakes on movies, TV, music, and more. This season, we're debating the best songs of Mariah Carey and Dolly Parton. We're dissecting the worst TV series leads and the best of The X-Files. We're seated for the best fantasy films and the best John Williams movie scores. We're throwing it back to the best grunge songs and the best singles of 1965, and so much more. Find the show wherever you listen to podcasts or head to greatpopculturedebate.com.
Okay, so Charlie is not alone fighting. He wants to enlist the help of Peter Vincent, who is very reluctant and who has some funny lines, and I'll give some of those when I come to me. But he's very reluctant to help, doesn't actually believe in vampires until he does. So, Erin, what are your thoughts on Peter Vincent?
I love Peter Vincent. This is going to be so off topic, but I love that he's got like a real Doctor Who vibe going on with this cape, like it's ascot. Very Third Doctor. He's first of all, he's adorable. I love him. I love that they've taken like gray hairspray to make his hair look gray. I appreciate that. But first of all, he's hilarious. He's not interested in this one bit until anyone offers him money. And then he's like, sure, I'll play your silly little game with you. I think, what did Amy offer him? A $500 savings bond?
Yes.
That is very 80s.
I know.
Bartering and savings bonds. Oh my gosh. But I love that he doesn't want anything to do with it, and until he's like, oh well, if you're gonna pay me, I'll do pretty much whatever you want. It's just like another acting job for him. I think it's cute that he's got all these little knickknacks and things in his apartment still from the movies he's done and stuff, and he's got his cute little case full of monster hunting things. And I thought it was really just a small touch, but whenever they go to see him and his apartment's a mess and he's trying to clean up really quick, and that's cute. Just the panic of, oh God, there's people here. I feel that, Mr. Vincent. But I love that how quickly he realizes he can't see him in the mirror, and then he runs out, and he was just like, nope, never mind, just kidding, I don't want anything to do with this. And they kind of drag him back into it, convince him Amy's gonna die. And the way that I at the end, whenever the cross doesn't work, only if you believe, and then it starts working, oh, his heart. It's great. So I like him a lot. I think he's great, and he's just the comedy, the little subtle comedy that he puts in there is really good. And then I wonder if he ever got his savings bond.
Yeah, that's a reasonable question.
Did they
'cause
stiff him on his payment?
that's why he wanted to help Amy and have her not
Right.
become a vampire fully.
Right.
Because he
You're
wants
never
that
gonna-
$500.
You're never gonna find that savings bond.
Gotta get paid.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, after all that, I think he deserves that savings
Oh,
bond.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's facing eviction. That's one of the things in his apartment is an
Right.
eviction notice. So, his show just got canceled. So, but in the end, he gets his show back anyway. But still.
Yeah, good for him. And we're not talking about vampires anymore. See, that would have been the perfect sequel. Then he starts talking about aliens, and then Charlie has to fight aliens.
He is in the sequel.
Good.
So-
That makes me happy.
So Paula.
I love Roddy McDowell. He's so great in this role. And just like when Charlie first comes to him and he's like, this child is crazy. Like, is this going to be a stalker? Like, he's like trying to give him autographs. What do you mean you don't want my autograph? And you're just all this. And then when Eddie and Amy come to, and she hires him, it's like you said, okay, we'll play this game until it gets real. And he's like, nope, I'm out of here. I'm done. I read something where he said he was like, he kind of took a little bit of inspiration from like the Cowardly Lion from The Wizard of Oz. And I'm like, yep, I totally see that. I totally see it. And that was a great choice to play that character. But he comes through in the end and he really tries to help save the day. And it's a great, like all of these characters are great characters. I mean, honestly. So yeah, I love that character. I love Roddy McDowell, and it's a fun little character arc for him too. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. He's so good in this. And, he said, because, this was originally designed to be a character for Vincent Price, kind of, but it's interesting to me that Roddy McDowell's like, no, this is a person who's not a good actor. This is a person who has like a few like lines that they always use or always plays the same character. And I think that's a good approach. And that Cowardly Lion part is perfect. That's the perfect description for him, because he's on the surface. He's trying to pretend like he's like this really knowledgeable, like, very respected person. And then underneath it all, he's like not, with him having a messy apartment. I think that speaks to that, and him struggling financially and all of this stuff, which doesn't make you less of a person. I'm just saying that like he has this whole facade, and then like there's little parts of it that show that that's just a facade. But I love when they come and they're trying to get his help, and and he says, what could be more important than my autograph? And like saving a boy's life. And he's like, yes, I can see how that's more important. And it's just so perfect, because what could be more important than my autograph? Because it is that he's bought into his own hype too for so long. And so when that hype kind of dies down, he doesn't know what to do. But he's so good. And once he becomes active and becomes an active participant, he becomes such a great ally for Charlie. Almost like a father figure, because Charlie's father isn't around. So it's almost like he becomes a father figure in a way. You can see the start of that. I think that's kind of, if I remember correctly, kind of amped up a little bit in the sequel. And if I'm remembering correctly, I think it's actually him. I think it's Peter Vincent who actually goes to Charlie and is trying to convince Charlie that there's something going on. And Charlie is like, come on, we've already done with that. We've killed everybody, So if I'm remembering correctly, I believe that's what happens. So it's an interesting dynamic that continues on to the next movie. But yeah, he's great. He's a great character. He's a classic horror character. And the performance is so good. That's the thing about this movie, is the performances are so good in this movie that it makes it better, than it could have been, for an 80s cheesy horror movie, which I love those. But sometimes the performances were, not the best.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem that I have with 80s movies, is like sometimes the acting is just, come on.
Yeah.
People. And all of this was good.
Yeah. So let's talk about Amy, who is Charlie's girlfriend. and also is the object of Jerry's affections, very creepy affections. So Erin, what are your thoughts on Amy?
Oh, dear sweet Amy. She's so cute and she's like so sweet and innocent. And I like the like adorable little outfits that she wears. And they're like, I know how we can make this 27-year-old lady look like a teenager. Let's put a bow in her hair. And, like all her little bows in her hair. And she's like wearing overalls, I think, at the beginning. And she's just like so just like the perfect like all-American 80s girl, I think. And she's like I think she's just adorable. And I think first of all, I don't know what she's doing with Charlie because he seems kind of like a creep. But sure, she says she loves him, and I guess you do stupid things for love in the 80s. So I think if she hadn't been turned, I think she would have been a really good hero also. I think she was really brave up to that point where he like put a spell on her or whatever. I think she was kind of the voice of reason in this little group. And she was a great leader. And it's really unfortunate that Jerry turned his attention primarily to her in the most creepy way possible. And yeah, the nightclub scene is really disturbing. But also I like that scene because whenever he decides to just like go wild and start attacking people and his claws come out and his eyes turn red, like peak 80s movie special effects, and I love it. And his fingers are all like chunky from the makeup. Like his chubby little sausage fingers like scratching that guy in the neck. Oh man, it's great and I love it. But I'm kind of I know it's like the genre of the movie and the decade, but it kind of makes me sad that she just turned into this damsel in distress because she was so strong at the beginning, and then she like didn't stand a chance against his like vampire whatever he did to her. But I think she's great, and I'm glad that she got to go back to normal, that she turned back into her normal self. She didn't have her hair. Yeah. And her whole appearance changed in like an hour. That was bizarre, but I'm glad she went back to normal sweet Amy. And because I guess in some other movies she could have just been like dead forever, and that would have been sad.
Yeah. So Paula.
Yeah, what was that hair thing? I thought I was seeing things at first. I'm like, is the hair getting longer
and blonder?
And blonde, it just gradually kept getting longer and longer, and I'm like, what is happening? Right? And then she go. I was so confused by that. I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. Like, is this mean I don't know. Like I said, I had questions about some things, and that was one of them. I'm like, I don't understand it. But she started off so strong. Like, okay, she had the thing for Charlie, and questionable life choices, but she is a teenage girl. Yeah. Okay, so we can forgive that. But she was also like ready to go to battle to save him, and that was awesome. And you don't, and then you gotta, like you said, turn her into the damsel in distress, and she's, can't do. No, if he hadn't like seduced and enthralled her, she could have kicked his ass. She would have been the hero, and that would have been amazing. I would have loved to have seen that. So they kind of did her character dirty with that. But, when she wasn't being the long hair, curly, whatever that was.
And the dress, first of all, how'd she get, he put her in that dress while she was unconscious? Like, that is so upsetting.
Yeah. No bra.
Oh, yeah. Like, I know she was played by an adult woman, but again, yeah. Seriously.
You see her nipples for sure.
Oh, yeah. There was, definitely. Yeah, up until that point, she was a really good, strong character, and I liked where it was going. And then it took a turn, and I was like, I don't like this. I don't understand what's happening. I'm uncomfortable. This is creepy. I'm glad that she was saved at the end and did not, was not left to that fate because, that was bad.
And what's interesting about the remake is they actually leave some of that's in there still. And that's really interesting to me. Although, once again, it's a vampire. So it's not like you're supposed to look at them as like the hero or the good person. So they're doing bad things. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying I think that's kind of where that comes from. But Amy is such an interesting character to me because going to the actress, Amanda Bierce, who then went on after this, the biggest thing that she's known for, of course, is Married with Children. And what's interesting is, and this is not a knock on her, but looks-wise, this is not who typically would be in this movie. You would typically have someone who looked like the actress who plays her in the remake, but looked like this bombshell look. I mean, I'm not trying to knock her at all, but this is a very different look for a female character in an 80s movie. And that always has stayed with me. And that's one of the things actually that I appreciate is that they cast an actor that doesn't fit back then the 80s mold for a bombshell person, And again, I'm not knocking the way she looks or her at all. It's just that was not what you would normally see. And I always appreciated that. And yeah, it is sad that she does turn from this very active to very passive character because she is, she's very mad at Charlie at first. And I love the scene when she smishes that sandwich in his face. That's awesome. I'm like, yes, you should do that more often to Charlie. He deserved that. And so she's this very I'm not going to put up with your bullshit. And then when she starts believing him and having faith in first she doesn't believe him, but then when she later starts to, and she's helping him, it's really nice to see that. And so it would have been interesting to watch her kind of try to still have that attraction maybe, or that pull there to Jerry, but fighting it a little bit more might have been interesting to see. I still love this movie, but it would have been interesting to see her kind of battling that instead of just giving into it. I mean, there's a little bit of her battling it on the dance floor. Like when they're moving around and she's looking in the mirror and she's seeing that can't see his reflection. That's a really interesting scene because she's struggling with the fact that, wait a minute, this isn't real. This isn't real. He's not really there. He's a monster. He's a evil being. And I can't see him, and then he's there, and I'm attracted to him, and I want to grab his ass because she grabs his ass too. But then, she's seeing that he's not there, and I just think that's an interesting thing that kind of illustrates her struggle a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it is creepy on that dance floor. That dance floor scene, I did not remember how sexual that was. That is very sexual. And then, of course, their scene later when he bites her and turns her is extremely sexual, which it always is in vampire movies. But there is an unease there because she is a teenager, and he's really old comparatively. So that is a little bit creepy. And there's the creep factor in that. And then with her wearing that white gown and not having a bra on is also very uncomfortable, And I wonder if they decided to change her hair, like it was some kind of vampire thing, but also if they decided to change her hair to make her look older or more sensual. I think that might have been part of why they did that. But yeah, it was an interesting choice. I'm glad that she did not remain a vampire, though. I'm glad she got to live her life. She should have left Charlie, but
right.
Found someone better.
This should have been her wake-up call of I don't need him. I take care of myself.
Exactly. We find somebody better. Okay, well, we're going to take another quick break. And when we come back, we're just going to end by talking about how the film handles vampire mythology, if we like how the film handles that. So we'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Marshalls, where you never have to compromise between quality and price. The buyers at Marshalls hustle hard, working to bring you great deals on brand name and designer pieces. Because Marshalls believes everyone deserves access to the good stuff. Visit a Marshalls store near you or shop online at marshalls.com.
Okay, so Erin, Do you like the way they handle vampires in this movie?
I have a lot of questions about some of these things that happened. A lot of questions. Like, one, what's with the faces and the weird teeth sometimes, but not all the time? And why does, like, Evil Ed, like, just go totally wild immediately? That seems weird. Like, I don't know. Also, why does he turn into a wolf?
I know.
What does, like, you're a shapeshifter also or something? I don't know. It's like so many questions. And I love that Jerry can turn into a bat, but it's like a giant bat. He's like a 4-foot bat that looks like a dog. It's like, what's the dogs from Ghostbusters? That's what he looks like, right?
Yes.
Like,
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. That's exactly
with his little
right.
ears. And he's so angry. He's such an angry little bat. But, like, why? And then whenever he burns, he turns into a bat again, but he's like a human-sized bat. I've got a lot of questions. But I do like the way that they use, like, the crucifix, and that it only works when you believe in it, which I think is like a cool little caveat to that. So I think it's fun stuff. I don't know if it all makes a whole lot of sense, but I appreciate them making up their own mythology, which I think is kind of cool. They obviously put some thought into it, or else thought this would just be cool. Like, you know what we need? A wolf, right? Like, it's just the most random thing. If, like, did they just know a guy with a wolf and it's like, I don't know, come on over, we'll fit it in. Where did this come from? It was so random, right? I don't know, just walk him down the hallway, we'll figure it out later. Like, what? None of it makes sense, and I love it so much. So, I want to know, like, like, I don't know, we'll just fix it in editing, it'll be fine. Yeah. Someone else's job, they'll figure it out. But yeah, the wolf thing just gets me. I don't know why. But I appreciate that they made up, like, their own mythology. I thought that was fun.
Yeah. Paula.
This is where I had so many questions. I just, well, and like, hey, like, was he a vampire? Was he a werewolf? Was he some kind of mix between the two? Like, what was going on there? I don't understand. And then Billy, who was something totally different. And then, you know, Eddie got turned and he basically wolfed out right away. And then you have Amy, who was like, just turned into, I don't understand. But I kind of had to, like, okay, I'm going to, like, headcanon this, that, like, he's the monster. And when he bites these people, you know, it's kind of, like, random. Like, what do they become? You don't know. And it's kind of fun because you don't know what you're going to get, but you're going to get something fun. That was, like, my biggest problem with the movie is, like, I don't understand that part. Like, there was no consistency there. It was like, let's just kind of throw things in there that look cool is kind of what it felt like. But I did really like the crucifix thing where you had to have faith. What do you have to have faith in? I don't know, but you got to have faith in something. Mm-hmm. Like, faith that it works. Faith, I don't know. But I really liked that touch. That was a nice little, you know, touch on the vampire lore. Yet you still had the classics of, you know, got to stake them through the heart. They don't show up in mirrors, which I never understood that, but okay, we'll go with it. And the sunlight thing. But again, Billy, immune to the sun. Did he just not get enough of the vampire blood? Were they? I don't know. But, you know, okay, all right.
That's why I don't think Billy is a vampire. I think he's like a companion, but he must be some kind of creature, you know, but he's not a vampire completely. And plus he's got the green blood, whatever, the green ooze.
Yeah.
But I love how he dies and it's just so dramatic. And it's like takes forever and then he becomes the skeleton and then he just crumbles into little bits.
It's a lot to take in.
Okay.
I love that, though. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of more questions than answers kind of in this with the mythology. But I kind of like that about this movie. The werewolf part or the wolf part, whatever, is the most mind-boggling one of all of them, I think. And the head scratcher. And I'd forgotten about that until watching it last night. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. Because it's so weird and random. And then, of course, in the end, you hear Evil like say something. So you're like, oh, well, then he didn't fully die or he goes back because of the fact that they killed Jerry. You don't know. And I can't remember if he's in the sequel. So, but yeah, I like a lot of it, though. I like certain touches. The teeth are a little ridiculous. They're like very
just
ridiculous.
Really impractical.
Yeah, exactly. For a vampire, they seem really impractical. I do like when the hands change, and I know Chris Sarandon did his own hand work because he's did theater for so long, and so to kind of save time, he would do the hands while the makeup artist did the rest of him. So I do like that. I like that his hands change a little bit, which is often seen. And I really appreciate that garlic, while you see garlic and you see like Charlie has hung garlic up, garlic isn't really used that much. And that's one of those that can go back and forth. But I'm really glad that they didn't really go overboard with that or use that too much. And I agree about the cross. Like, I think one of the best scenes during their final battle with Jerry is when Peter Vincent is holding the cross out there and he just grabs it and just like destroys it. And it's so awesome because that's such a huge symbol and that's such a huge relevant thing in vampire mythology. And so I love that he just basically is like, nah, you don't believe, so I'm destroying it. And I agree with it's not like a solid thing of like, you have to believe in God or you have to believe in this. It's just, you have to believe in something. And then he ends up believing. And yeah, and I liked that it took a while for Jerry to die, where it wasn't just like one scene of just like stake through the heart. It was like, they had to really go all out to really kill him until he just completely exploded. Really. So I like it. I do think the teeth at times are ridiculous. There are questions, lots of questions. And the wolf part is like, okay. Oh, but I did think it was interesting, though, when Peter Vincent kills Evil and he's like crying. He's like watching him die and he's like having all this empathy for him. I thought that was a really interesting touch. He gets really like emotional about it. Like, oh, you poor thing. You're just an innocent little boy.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. And maybe there's some emotion there where he's like, oh my gosh, I've actually killed somebody that was a person. And yeah, I thought that was an interesting touch because you usually don't see something like that. So yeah. Okay, well, it is time now to play 6 Degrees of Finn Whitrock. And Erin A is a member of the Finn crew, so she is required to play. And if she didn't, she's going to get in trouble. And Paula is supposedly trying to become a Finn fan. A Finn fan? Okay. Finn fan. She's an honorary member. So, yeah. So, did you both play?
Yeah.
Yay! Okay, so Erin A, how did you connect Finn Whitrock to Fright Night?
Okay, so I went with Roddy McDowall, who I love. Ugh, it's great. So Roddy McDowall voiced Sam in the 1980 Return of the King animated movie, which I was unaware of. And I've been rewatching Lord of the Rings movies, and so that's in my recommendations now, that the animated movie that I have such vivid memories of watching, like just like you said, Paula, earlier. Like, I know I watched it, like I can see clips from it in my head, but like I don't remember watching it. So I had no idea he was in that. Anyway, he was in that with Orson Bean. Orson Bean was in Being John Malkovich with Brad Pitt, and Brad Pitt was in The Big Short with Finn.
Very good. And then, of course, we can also mention our unofficial mascot, Christian effing Bale or fucking Bale. I don't know why I keep saying effing, is in The Big Short as well. And I cannot believe I'm saying this, in a couple of months.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be Christian fucking Bale month.
Why?
I know. It's so crazy. So, Paula, how did you connect Finn?
Okay, so I also went with Roddy McDowall because, yes, we love Roddy McDowall. He was in Cutting Class with Martin Mull, who was in A Futile and Stupid Gesture with Finn Whitrock.
Oh, I like that one too. Yay. I changed it up. I used William Ragsdale.
Nice.
Who was in Broken City with James Ranson, who was in a movie that I think we've maybe used once, if we've used it at all, Right When You Get Work with Mr. Finn Whitrock. It's Finn's hair is out of this world in that movie.
Oh,
I like that
okay.
movie. I actually really like that movie, but I don't think we've used that one like before, or we haven't in a long time. So yeah. And I forgot to mention, I just quickly want to just end and say, did either of you watch Herman's Head, also with Mr. William Ragsdale?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
No, do I need to add this to the list? Do you think it's on Tubi?
I'm kind of afraid to revisit this
man.
show because I loved this show, and I'm afraid I revisit and it'd be like awful. This was a show that was on Fox for like one season. And yeah, William Ragsdale plays the main character, Herman. And he has all these other people in his head playing like talking to him and doing different. Because this is one of those shows that like when you talk to a lot of Gen Xers and millennials, they like love this show. And it only lasted for one season. And it also starred like Hank Azaria is one of the people in his head. Yardley Smith is one of the ones. Who else is it who's in there? Yeah, it was like one season. Oh, Jennifer Aniston, I guess, is in it. I don't remember that. But yeah, it's different parts of his brain and different parts of like, it's got like I'm watching the trailer right now on IMDb, and it's, yeah.
I don't think I don't remember.
It's not
this
playing
at all.
anywhere. It's not streaming anywhere. Yeah. I'll have to send you both the trailer, but everybody out there, if you've watched that, I wish there was a way we could watch it again to kind of, it's one of those ones that I want to revisit, but I'm also scared to because like one of the characters in his head is lust. And like, I'm like, I wonder what this would be like. This was a series that ran from, I guess it ran more than one season. I thought it was just one season, but it ran from 1991 to 1994 on Fox. It was like in the start of like, when Fox had its huge heyday when it first started getting popular. So yeah, anyway, I'm sure there are others out there. I don't remember which panelist it was that I was just talking about this show with, but it wasn't either of you.
Nope.
No, I'm intrigued.
I'll post the trailer on our Discord in the TV thing. I just wanted to mention that and see. And so shout out to other people out there who might remember this show. But thank you, Erin A and Paula, for joining me to talk about Fright Night. I had a lot of fun. I actually am tempted now to go get tickets to go watch it at the Alamo. I can't remember when. It's coming up in the next week or two because it'd be fun to see it on the big screen, I think. So I'll see what time, and I'll ask both of you if you want to come too, if you're available. But yeah, thank you both for joining me. And remember, you can watch this on Tubi, pretty much all the like free platforms. You can also, of course, rent it at your local library. I'm sure you can. So, Erin A, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me pretty much only on Instagram these days. I am at Geek and Sew. That's what I do. I geek and I sew things. You can also watch a snorty little rescue Frenchie if you are so inclined to watch him do adorable stuff. Also, he is a Zeus. His Zeusel_Streusel.
I just love that so much.
Zeusel Streusel.
And Paula, one of my co-hosts of It's a Dean Thing, where can that podcast be found? And you?
Oh, yeah. Because if you didn't already know, Aaron Moth and I really like to talk about Dean Winchester.
So much so.
So much so that we are working our way through season 4 now. And you can listen to that. You can listen to us talk and gush and sometimes even say nice things about Sam.
Especially me.
Especially Erin.
Weirdest experience in my life.
Wherever you listen to It's a Fandom Thing, we're on the same places. You can follow us on social media at It's a Dean Thing Pod. You can follow me on social media. It's my sandbox, but I'm not really active there. So come head over to the Discord server for It's a Fandom Thing, because that's where we all hang out. We have a It's a Dean Thing channel there. We have all kinds of pets. You can see Erin and Erin's pets, their dogs, and Moth's dog, and Carla's cats. And, if you love pets, come check it out, because we have pets in there. fanfic channel, all kinds of fun stuff. Just come check it out, see what we got. And peer pressure me into watching more Finn Whitrock. Because apparently that's the only way. It's the only way I'm going to get it watched.
That's why I go in there, and every time I go in there, it's after I've edited a Dean Thing episode, and it's like, and we're talking about that, and so I go in there and post like when it was like dusting off things.
Yes, there's lots of Dust Buddy memes in that channel because I'm terrible about remembering to watch things.
And you'll have to watch right when you get work.
I will.
I don't know if you can stream it anywhere, but I really like that movie. Well, thank you so much, Paula. And Fergie, the dog that was mentioned, that you can see pictures of her in our Discord, she also has a TikTok. And this is her favorite time of year because Fergie loves to watch horror movies and also loves to watch Abbott Elementary, which they're back with a new season. And she also loves true crime. And you can follow her on TikTok at Schroeder and Fergs. That's SCHROEDERANDFERGS. It's long, but it's worth it. To find all our past episodes, links to our social media, links to our Patreon, all of that jazz, head on over to our website. It's a fandomthingpod.com. And if you want bonus content, if you want to listen to episodes a day early, you could have listened to this episode on Thursday instead of Friday. If you want bonus content, it has to be scheduled. We are going to be releasing an episode this month talking about the movie Weapons. That's just for Patreon. Patreon is going to get an early access. If you thought I was done talking about The Bear, you don't know me very well. Carla, who recently, of course, discovered The Bear and is also shipping Sid and Carmi with me, which is just so much fun. You should see the TikToks we just send to each other all the time. We're reading fanfic together, everything. We did a special, the Sid and Carmi special is what I called it. And so we did a special recording recently talking about that ship. And I'm going to release it early for my Patreon subscribers and then release it in November for regular listeners. So if you want to feel important and you want to be early on things, become a Patreon supporter. And also, on top of all of that, you occasionally can win prizes. Like for our horror trivia event that's going on right now. Tomorrow, if you're listening to this on Friday, tomorrow night, we will be doing night 2 of horror trivia, which is terror on the small screen. And so that should be a ton of fun. So if you want to potentially win prizes, but not have to play a like of trivia, you just choose your player, you get their points, go and become a Patreon supporter today for as little as just $3 a month. You get other great content and you get to stick it to capitalism. No commercials. So head on over to the Support Us tab on our website. It's a fandomthingpod.com or click the link in the show notes. And next week, we are turning over, although Fright Night has a lot of comedy in it, but we are turning over to horror comedies, to a couple of them. And we're first going to be talking about a movie featuring Kevin Bacon, Tremors. And the reason I say featuring Kevin Bacon is because when we play 6 Degrees of Finn Whitrock next week, you will have to use Kevin Bacon. That is going to be a requirement for my panelists, Paula, so get prepared.
Awesome. Can't wait.
So that will be Paula, Moth, and Tiff. And then the week after that, we're going to be talking about arachnophobia, me and Tiff. Other people are too afraid to look at the spiders.
Nope.
And then we're going to round things off because there are 5 Fridays in October. And the last Friday in October is October 31st, Halloween. So we are going to be rounding out, looking at my favorite horror movie featuring my favorite horror villain, Michael Myers. And that is John Carpenter's Halloween from 1978. So until next time, remember, it's a fandom thing. Black Lives Matter, Stop Asian Hate, and Free Palestine.
Doug. Here we have the Limu Emu in its natural habitat, helping people customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Fascinating. It's accompanied by his natural ally, Doug.
Limu, is that guy with the binoculars watching us?
Cut the camera. They see us.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
The Great Pop Culture Debate Podcast is back for a new season this fall, bringing you another dozen episodes filled with hot takes and low stakes on movies, TV, music, and more. This season, we're debating the best songs of Mariah Carey and Dolly Parton. We're dissecting the worst TV series leads and the best of The X-Files. We're seated for the best fantasy films and the best John Williams movie scores. We're throwing it back to the best grunge songs and the best singles of 1965, and so much more. Find the show wherever you listen to podcasts or head to greatpopculturedebate.com.